Nigeria, by extension Africa, battles a growing youthful population and with little or no meaningful engagement leaves a ticking time bomb on our hands. We are a blessed continent with great wealth, both in people and material. Our focus on ways remains driving conversations that affects us all. Topics in the news, social concerns, politics, leadership, governance, empowerment, resource management, conflict management, finance, SME sustainability, technological innovation, food security, health, education, brain drain, our well-being, citizenship, and much more. Our goal is to continuously drive these conversations, keep them burning at the table to effect a positive change, both for our nation and continent. Ways, what are you saying, has a secret ingredient that completes the conversation every single episode, and that ingredient is you. Our past conversations shaped our yesterday. To shape our tomorrow, we must keep talking. So, I want to hear you. Be a part of our live conversations Mondays through Fridays. And let's all have our say.
Advocacy has been the rallying cry for social justice and inclusion in Nigeria. While raising awareness and shifting public consciousness is essential, advocacy alone is insufficient. For vulnerable populations such as sex workers, displaced individuals, and victims of abuse, real change begins with tangible support systems that support healing, restoration, and economic empowerment. It's another episode on your favorite primetime show, Ways, and my name is Messi Eboko. And today we're discussing beyond advocacy, the real work for rehabilitation in Nigeria. And our guest is Doreen Omosele, an executive director of Blossom Girls Outreach Foundation. She will be joining the conversation much later. Now, remember that Ways is all about you. You are the why in the Ways, so be part of the conversation every single day and add your voice to the discourse. Head to the YouTube channel and subscribe. All you have to do is just head there. It's at Official Upgrade TV. Hit the subscribe button, like, share, and invite your friends to join the show now. Now, when I open up the phone lines, I would really, really love to hear what you have to say as regards this topic. But don't forget, you have to ponder on my quote for today. He says that rehabilitation is a process of rediscovery, of finding oneself again, and think about that, okay? So we will delve into the conversation much later, but first off, I'm going to head off for a break, and when I come back, I'll let you know what my news interest is for the day. Please stay with us.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
And welcome back. Many thanks for tuning in and staying tuned. If you're just joining, this is Ways, and tonight we have amazing lineup of conversation. First off, we'll just head off with the interest of the news. So for me today, what actually caught my interest is the protest that happened in Jos, Plateau State. Now, protests broke out the early hours of today in the state capital, and that's because the killings of innocent citizens by gunmen. it's quite, saddening. I mean, I've had to, like, I'm not sure I've really had a great day, having to ponder on this, having to research all of this and having to talk about this. It's quite unfortunate. However, the reason that, citizens and residents of Jos in Plateau took to the streets is because of the continuous killings of indigenous residents by gunmen who are suspected to be Fulani militias, And so the demonstration was led by Christian leaders, including the state chairman of the Christian Association of Nigeria. He goes by the name Reverend Polycarp Lubo. That protest actually started. Some people call it a peaceful procession. And so it caused a lot of heavy gridlock. But that's not the bone of contention. But for me, it's about the killings that's been going on in Nigeria, in Jos Plateau. The killings that's been going on, not just only in Nigeria, in other parts, that of Edo State, in the northern part of Nigeria, and anywhere that, killings is going on. It just brings to bear the question where, the security architecture of this country is. Where's the police? Where's the federal government? I mean, whose responsibility is it to protect lives and property? I'm sure if you know the Constitution very well, if you read the Constitution in Section 14 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended, it stated that it is the responsibility of the government to protect the lives and properties of the people. And that's me paraphrasing. It would almost bring tears to my eyes, to see that there seemed to be no concern. Because the federal government, through the Nigerian police, is responsible for internal security and law enforcement in any parts of this country. And that's because, the security architecture, the governors of the state are not in control of the security architecture, however, does not also take off the real fact that they are the chief security officers of their state. So what exactly is going on with the Nigerian police in Jos Plateau? How come the perpetrators of this evil are going about their businesses without being apprehended? What exactly is happening with police, grassroots policing? What is happening? Where is the police? Where is the security? What happened to the protection of lives and properties? These are questions that are begging for answers. It's quite unfortunate, and this is the bare minimum that people can do. I know that there's been a lot of talk about people taking to arms because you need to see the conversation in the space, and people are saying it has to be eye for an eye. But it can't be, because then the essence of government would have been defeated. We do not live in the Stone Age. That's why we have the government. The government's responsibility is to provide security, to protect properties, lives and properties of the people. That's enshrined in the Constitution, and that's the major. Paraventure, we have forgotten what the responsibility is. It breaks my heart, and really, my heart really goes out to those who have lost their loved ones. There's really no English, no grammar, there's no statement that can bring to life or bring back to life the lives that the people have actually lost. But we'll have to move away from there. We're hoping that, the federal government would actually have to answer, because this is where people begin to say, oh, why are you calling on the president? Because, the federal government has to respond. They are in control of the police. Next on it is also not quite interesting, fortunately, the holiday. We hope that we'll probably have very interesting conversation, but this is not very exciting. It caught my attention because the presidency has planned to spend, there's been an allocation in the budget, 10 billion naira for solar. And according to, the reports and statements that I have here, that the State House allocated the sum of 10 billion naira in the 2025 approved budget for the installation of a solar mini grid at the presidential villa. Now, the reason for this particular move, please listen, is that it's because of the growing concern of unreliable public electricity supply and the high cost of electricity for both households and government institutions. In other words, it means that, because the cost of electricity is too high. And in another grammar, because the supply of electricity is also epileptic, you cannot rely, you cannot depend on it. So therefore, the presidential villa, there's been a budget, there's been a plan, there's been a preposition to spend 10 billion naira for a solar mini grid. So they call it solarization of the villa. Time will not permit me, so I'll just move on straight, to the next one. It talks about the Pope, Pope Francis, has actually passed on. And I know that a lot of people, I see that, it's been flying on several social media. But, some people say that he's 88. There's actually nothing to cry about. It should be a thing of celebration. But if you'd like to know, Pope Francis was elected on the 13th of March in 2013. He became the 266th Pope of the Roman Catholic Church, and he was born December 17, 1936. And of course, he passed April 21st, early hours of today, 25th, that's Easter Monday. And that was the Pope right there yesterday, which was actually Easter, giving that speech. Life is very fragile. It's very important that we understand that we will never be here forever. But I think that, 88 is quite a good age there, right there. But that's the much I can take for the want of time. We'll just quickly take a break now, and when we return, we'll dive straight to our conversation. Please stay with us.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
Welcome back. You're still watching Ways, your favorite primetime show right here. My name is Messi, and tonight we're delving straight to the conversation. Our guest is on standby to join us as we speak right here. EIE Nigeria's #OnePerson campaign recognizes citizens who go beyond words to act. Now, in January 2025, of course, just some months back, EIE Nigeria honored Doreen Omosele for her commitment to the rehabilitation and integration of women involved in sex work, I beg your pardon. Her work with the Blossom Girls Outreach Foundation demonstrates that true impact of advocacy lies in what comes next. Now, the hard, consistent work of rebuilding lives. Joining me to shed more light on this issue is the Executive Director, Blossom Girls Outreach Foundation, Doreen Omosele. Thank you so much for being part of the conversation tonight.
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Yes, please. I hope I got the pronunciation of your name correctly.
Yeah, you tried, Doreen Omosele, yeah.
Okay, so I've been very worried about that. Okay, so let's start with the beginning, at the heart of your journey. What really inspired you to start working with women in sex, and were there personal or societal gaps that you saw that made you, push towards this particular space?
Okay, so for me, it's a bit of, a personal thing. I was that child who was molested at a tender age. So I grew up seeing myself as a sex object. That was the mindset that I have, that I had about myself, that I was a sex object, I was a sex tool. So I practically lived my life like that, up till university, when I rediscovered myself and who I am. So in the midst of the rediscovering myself, I also discovered that I have a purpose along this line to help girls who are stuck in sex trade, girls who are, being sexually exploited, and just helping them find a better life and an alternate path to income, generation. Yeah.
I must really say, sorry that you have to go through what you went through. Very big apologies. Well, but in a society where sex work is heavily stigmatized, I'm just thinking, what has it been, what has it been like, the hardest part of starting out? What has kept you going? What are the challenges that you have faced, in this space, in what you're doing?
Okay. Yes, you're right. Sex work is stigmatized, in the world, not to even talk of Africa and even Nigeria. What has kept me going is not just passion, but conviction. I am very convinced that this is what I was born to do. Okay, you may call it, some spiritual conviction or, whatever conviction, but I am very convinced that this is what I was born to do. And conviction, together with the passion for these girls, has kept me going. Talking about challenges, at the beginning, um, lack of, funds, was one of the challenges that we faced. It even delayed us in moving from reaching out to the girls in Brotels to setting up the rehabilitation center. But yeah, God helped us. We were able to establish the rehabilitation center 2023 September. And currently right now we're expanding, our rehab home to accommodate 10 of these girls. We did 4 at the beginning, at the first session. So now we're extending, our capacity to do 10 this time around. And God has been helping us, to be honest. Now we have more people that have seen that, oh, these people, they're really doing the work. They've seen the results. They've seen the testimonies. And now we have people who are partnering, who are giving, so it's really been a great time. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get to the crux of, the conversation. Can you walk us through how your organization practically supports rehabilitation, reintegration of women that are involved in sex work? Because, I mean, when I, saw that we're going to have this conversation, my mind kept racing, and I'm very, very, I'm just very interested in knowing how this works. Like, what's the process like?
Okay. Not like we're just going to pour out all our secrets out there, but I'm just going to give some highlights on what we do. So we go out, we reach out to them in hotels, we let them know about the opportunity, the rehabilitation opportunity, and we have an admission officer that takes the girls through some sort of online interview and just sort of takes them through the process of the rehabilitation center, because we don't want a case of, I did not know this is what I came for. So we let them, know about the rudiments and the regiments of the rehabilitation program, that this and this is what you're going to be doing when you come into the rehab. So we usually don't admit anyone that doesn't have like a guarantor, someone that can say, oh, I know this person. Especially if the person is like a minor, we need like someone who will stand as a guardian. So once they come to the rehab and we are certain that this person is ready to go through the rehabilitation program, they sign some documents and all of that. Then we take them through the medical procedure. We do some medical checks on them. We just sort of want to know their medical history. And then we start the rehab program itself. The rehab program is where the major work is. The rehabilitation program is centered around mind reengineering. So what we do is we build the girls, we build their mindset, into a person that can be reintegrated back into the society. We build their mindset into someone, you know, to believe that they can make money without having to sleep around. I remember taking, you know, the girls through some of the programs, and I remember them telling me that they never, you know, have thought that they could do anything aside from sleeping around to make money. And I was really shocked because one of the things we do in the rehab is we believe in the power of visualization. We show the girls, women, people who are making money, you know, who are doing amazing things out there, even in Nigeria, not just even women, even men, you know. Thank God for, you know, places like YouTube and, you know, documentaries and people that are putting their works out there. So we do a lot of YouTube learning, right? So they watch all of these things, they discuss, and they're really shocked to see that people actually, you know, building their business without having to sleep around. There's this material that we use, self-made billionaire women. You know, it highlights about, I think, about 36 women who really made their billions. So we immerse them into that material, and they are usually very stunned that, oh wow, so I can actually make money with my hands. And funny enough, we have one of them even in my house right now who has gone through the rehabilitation program. She's an artisan, a nail artisan. You know, we took her through a skill to make nails and all of that. She's even going to do my nails when we're done with this conversation. You know, so she's doing really well. So basically what we do is we pull down that image of you need to sell your body before you can earn money, before you can survive. We pull that down in the rehab program. And after pulling it down, we now give them a skill, all right? You know, a skill that they can use to earn money. So that's basically what we do. Thank you.
Okay. So just a bit, you know, further is, I mean, we know that there are those who were involved in sex work out of, they were actually coerced to be, you know, to do this.
Yeah.
So they didn't have a choice. Maybe they were tricked.
Yeah.
Because we've heard of cases where someone comes to tell your mother or your auntie that there's a job somewhere, they were going to take care of you, come leave, and then it was just another avenue to sex traffic you and what have you.
Exactly.
And then you also have another category where it's more like it's voluntary, like it's not like you're not coerced, but then it looks like that's the only way out of it. So I like to understand what category of persons are you working with, and how do you get to identify these persons?
Okay, so we've worked with, you know, the categories of people that you mentioned. There's a lady that, you know, she's quite popular. We call her Dubai Girl. That's the name we gave her. You know, her documentary is even on YouTube. You know, our father, you know, tricked her into prostitution in Dubai, and she was deported. And thankfully, she met a man of God, Pastor Shola, who recommended my NGO to her, and that's how she got rehabilitated, and she's doing really well today. I've also worked with those who encountered, or should I say, got into prostitution voluntarily. Yes. So how do I differentiate them? I differentiate them by interviewing them.
No, I'm saying, let them. Okay. The question is, how do you identify them? Like, how do you get to meet them? Where do you get to meet them and, you know, speak to them to get to the point?
I already said that we do outreaches.
Okay.
All right, to hotels. So let me also add this. Due to our PR work and our social media positioning, people already know what we're doing. So they send some of these girls to us. Yeah. So, yeah, they sent some of these girls to us. Someone, like I was sharing the story of the Dubai girl, someone recommended my NGO, the rehabilitation program, to her, picked her from Lagos, sent her to Osun State, to my foundation. Yeah, I believe I answered that correctly.
No, so go on. I mean, you had your thoughts with the Dubai girl, so I'm quite
Yeah,
interested.
so we work with people who were tricked. We work with people who voluntarily entered into prostitution. And to be honest, I find myself really proud of those who entered into prostitution voluntarily, because that is where you really have to change their mind. Not just, you don't start by changing their mind. They actually come to us because they want a change of life. So what I do is, when I go to these outreaches, I leave them with a book. The book is called Purple. It's a message of love and hope for girls in prostitution. So we've had, one of them call us and say, "Oh, I read your book, Purple. I've been doing prostitution for about 2 years now. I want to quit. What can I do next?" So that's like one of the ladies that we have, our first testimony. She did that. She reached out to us, and my NGO, rehabilitated her. We got her an apartment, sponsored a child to school. That was in 2022. This is 2025. She's doing so well today. She has not gone back to prostitution. In fact, she will say to me that I rather up water on my head than allow any man to sleep with me again. So what I do is, basically, I let them know that there is more to life. There is more to, their life. There is more to them as a woman than what they're doing. I make them understand that there is more to them. This is not just who you're meant to be. This is not all there is to you. You're not a sex object. You're not a sex tool. There is a purpose, you are meant to fulfill. There is something about you that is so unique, and you cannot end up like this. So they usually just, sort of receive that message, receive that ideology, and say, "You know what, I'm tired." And let me even say this. The job itself is tiring, because most people don't even know what sex workers go through. They work even when they're on their periods. They insert cotton wool. There's nothing like, "I'm on my period, I can't work." They insert cotton wool, so that the blood will not flow. They work, day and night. I don't want to just talk about the vulgar things they go through, but the work itself is tiring. And I feel like if we bring out these girls and interview them, if you interview 100 of them, 90 of them will tell you they are actually tired of the job. I still had the chair lady of a brothel call me today, asking me when are they coming to the rehab. So these ladies, they want to quit. Yeah.
I must say that you and your organization are really doing a great job. But I'm also very curious about, the society that we find ourselves, where it looks as though, not necessarily looks as though, sex has been commodified. And again, you also hear the saying that prostitution is actually the oldest profession. So all of this phrase. So how do you, go about this kind of mindset, ideology, the commodification of sex, and the fact that, you get to say that, prostitution is a long-time profession. It's been in existence as before civilization and what have you. So how does your organization, and how do you get to walk around this in the course of you trying to rehabilitate these girls or women and reintegrate them into the society?
Okay. So while they come up with that ideology of, prostitution is the oldest profession and all of that, I let them know that according to research, prostitution is one of the world's top 10 most deadliest jobs. It is risky. You can lose your life. And truthfully, they would attest to the fact that, they've even had friends who have died on the job. One of our beneficiary that is out of prostitution was telling me that, she was just showing me an RIP of a fellow friend, a former colleague rather, that spent 20 years of her life in prostitution, and she died, on the job. So I let them know that this job is risky. You can lose your life. You can end up, with sexually transmitted disease, and for those who are seeing beyond just, surviving, they really want to thrive. yeah, they say, you know what, I'm interested. I want to come out of this job. Yeah.
All right, Doreen, we'll just go on a short break. And when we come back, we'll continue with the conversation. See you after the break.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria's energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we will analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Well, many thanks for staying with us. If you just tuned in, you just joined the conversation where we're talking about beyond advocacy, the real work of rehabilitation in Nigeria. It's your favorite primetime show, Ways. We don't forget that we'd like to hear what you've got to say. So